There's so many pressing diversity, equity, inclusion issues today. Too many to name, but I'll focus on, I think, four main ones. I think the one that's always been the most pressing issue is the rapid pace of changing demographics. Like, the entire world is changing. You know, as someone in higher ed, we're seeing more, BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color. We're seeing more LGBTQ plus students. We're seeing more international students. We're seeing more students with different abilities. We're seeing more first-generation students, more low-income students coming into higher ed. So what that means for business schools in terms of how they recruit, how they retain students, what support they provide students, and then also, what that means for the curriculum. The days of students not seeing themselves in cases or not having any diverse companies, diverse issues highlighted in business school cases kind of over. Like, students are coming in with that diverse global mindset, and they're expecting to see that reflected in what they're learning in the classroom, or that there's discussions in the classroom about what's happening in corporate America or in nonprofit or in any type of entrepreneurial business that relates to diversity, equity, inclusion. So the demographics have always been a big factor. The second thing I would say would be the racial reckoning that's happened over the last year, the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement, and kind of the calls and demands from not just students, faculty, and staff, but also companies and community members for academic institutions to take a stand and be proactive about diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice. And so there's an expectation now that I don't think was there a few years ago that, schools are publicly making statements when, tragedies happen to diverse communities, that schools have diversity strategic plans, that schools have a leader who's tasked with advancing diversity, equity, inclusion. So we've really seen, I think, a change in the last 10 years, and definitely after last summer. I would say another thing is related to the pandemic, right? The pandemic's changed how we all work, how we all live, how we learn, how we teach, right? So how do we continue to be equitable with faculty, staff, and students as we move into this new hybrid world of learning and teaching and working, right? How do we make sure our policies are equitable and that people are getting the same opportunities, the same experiences when, everyone's going to be working and studying in very different ways? The fourth one is, of course, the rise in bias, discrimination, and hate because of just how polarized our political climate is. So I think as an administrator, we're definitely seeing many more incidents happening on campus, things happening in our communities around our campus that are, very negative events. We're seeing attacks and violence against diverse communities and, attacks on their legal rights. And so how that plays into the experience of students in the classroom or faculty and staff that work at your institutions is something that schools definitely have to pay more attention to.